When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you feel.
Welcome everybody to a very special report. Something crazy is going on in China, and it's been going on this weekend, and it started Friday night, and it's just escalated and gone crazy. And we wanted to tell you about it because it's quite special.
For the real ones out there, we just want to say officially, somebody picked up the bike.
Indeed they did.
In fact, 800,000 people picked up the bike.
It's insane. So first we wanted to show you this. You might have seen this in the thumbnail. This says, "Freedom, I'm effing riding to you."
Yes, it's actually a play on words.
Yes.
So what they've done is the F word, or the equivalent of the F word, tamada here. They've used different characters to kind of mask that.
Yeah, so if the police or the authorities say, like, "How dare you write this?" They're like, "No, I wrote spicy," it's just jumbled characters.
Yes.
It's nonsense.
But it does mean freedom. I'm effing riding to you, which is pretty badass.
Yeah, it's really cool. So let's get to the root of all this. We're going to show you some footage first.
凌晨12点的正开大道，这就是青春，这就是河南。
What's he saying?
He says, "This is youth. This is Henan." They're going on the main road, the big road here.
10万铁骑直
So it's like 100,000 cavalrymen,
Yeah.
basically. Iron Knights.
Meaning bikes, bicycles.
Yeah, bicycle.
Sounds
People,
cooler to say
but
cavalryman.
I think
I like
that's-
your creative
yeah,
liberty
exactly.
达，开封汴梁，加油加油！
towards Kaifeng. So Kaifeng is a city in Henan province in central China. And up to 100,000 people ended up getting shared bikes, which are bikes that you use your phone to kind of unlock.
I've done
Pay
many
money
videos
for.
about that.
Many
yeah.
videos, yeah. And they took to the streets and they all decided to head towards Kaifeng from
Yeah.
Zhengzhou.
So we're going to tell you why Kaifeng is important in a minute.
Yes.
没想到人会那么多。
Take a look.
It was way more than just this area, by the way.
Yeah. So welcome to Kaifeng.
Oh. Didn't expect
So-
that to happen.
Obviously, that's going to happen. The Chinese government is absolutely petrified,
Yes.
scared of
Yes.
any kind of mass mobilization or any kind of
Yes.
mass gathering,
Yep.
any kind of movement, and this has really gotten them scared. But before we continue, maybe you could quickly tell everybody what Kaifeng is famous for.
So Kaifeng it's in central China. It's the birthplace / most important city of Chinese culture.
Yeah.
Meaning like Han Chinese culture. It's where the Han people were kind of birthed from.
And not Attila the Hun,
Han.
like HAN, which is the majority of China, or Han.
91%.
Well, Han majority, what am I saying?
Majority. It's
Yeah,
basically
Han ethnicity, yeah.
it's the majority of Chinese people are Han ethnicity.
Yeah.
They run the country. They're the most dominant racial group in China, ethnic group in China, and basically Henan, this area of central China, is the birthplace of that. Right?
Yes.
So it's an important area. However,
That's not why
the
everyone's going
significance
there.
of this has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, let's play just a quick little bit here.
It's a little history lesson.
Yeah. We like you to be informed. Yeah, now they're hurting them. So they're actually preventing and stopping people from riding bikes right now all over China.
Yeah.
Shared bike companies are also, setting their bikes so that they lock if it's
So
in
it
certain
says,
areas.
the bike companies are now discouraging the rides. Some bike rental companies that operate in Zhengzhou, so we're the epicenter of this, announced that their bikes would lock if residents attempted to take them out of the area. However,
Yeah, how did this start?
yes, we need to tell you how this started. 4 girls, well, this will play in the footage, so just let it rip. Basically, 4 girls in a university made a trip. They decided that they were going to go to Kaifeng from Zhengzhou. It's about 50 kilometers away, right?
Yeah.
And they were going to get on shared bikes, which are slow and kind of painful to ride.
They're awful.
And they documented their journey, their arduous journey, right? So they did this to go get famous soup dumplings in Kaifeng. Kaifeng is famous for its street food. It's famous for its night markets. It's one of the only areas in China that has night markets that people talk about in the same breath as Taiwan's night markets, right?
Yeah.
It's a big night marketplace.
Yeah.
Therefore, they went at night. They wanted to go to get these dumplings, right? Now, after they documented this, it inspired not just 4 people, but hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, some people say up to 800,000. I mean, take a look at these clips you're seeing here of the roads just completely choked with bicycles. And we've got, like, this is the shared bikes in the morning in some areas where they left it. By the way, they're doing this all at night as well.
Yeah.
It's like night rides are the thing.
Pretty badass.
Yeah, here are the people they've passed out in the restaurants and so on because of the long journey. And some people have been riding over 100 kilometers, 150
I think you guys,
kilometers.
I want people to have perspective on how, you can play it. I want people to have perspective on how long they rode. They rode for like the whole night.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they're obviously not on a nighttime schedule, so this is like very tiring.
Yes.
But I had a great quote from this guy.
Yeah.
He says that he didn't feel tired at all because he got to make friends. He got to meet people along the way. He got to chat the entire time. And he said that 5, 6, 7 hours or whatever ripped by because he was having so much fun. And I wanted the perspective of you guys to understand. You have to understand 100,000 people in one group is insane.
Yeah.
Like a big moving throng of people. In China, this does not happen.
Never.
It does not happen. It does not happen for a reason, because every time there's uprisings like this, the Chinese government thinks it's some sort of democracy protest.
Yes. Or something that could threaten their power.
Yes, and that's what they're so concerned about. But there's some supreme irony here that I want to talk about.
Sure.
So here's the
these are some of the individual documentation of these trips, some of the students sharing them.
Yes.
Of course, these are not the big crowds.
Those ones were headed to Tiananmen Square.
Yes.
So what I wanted to bring up is this didn't just stay in Henan, right?
No.
For example, the students that heard about it in Beijing all started riding to Tiananmen Square, which is a big no-no for the Chinese government.
Yes, don't go to Tiananmen Square as a big group of students on bicycles. I'll tell you what, that's a very bad idea.
The students in Nanjing rode to Anhui. The students from Chengdu and Sichuan, remember, these are thousands of kilometers apart.
Yes.
Students from Chengdu rode to Dujiangyan, and students in Wuhan rode somewhere. Students in Xi'an actually got stopped before they could mobilize, but the Chinese government cut it off immediately, right? And it's funny because this is really cool. This truck driver in Inner Mongolia saw these students, and he was like, "Why are you riding in the dark?" and lit their way to go to Tiananmen Square.
Exactly.
So 100,000 was in Henan, right? But every one of these epicenters had their own destination to go to.
Yes.
And so this turned into, right now, people are claiming at least now, before I was saying at most, now some people are claiming at least 800,000 bicycles hit the road.
Yeah.
Almost 1 million people started an uprising across China.
Just over the weekend.
Yes, over the weekend. And that's crazy to us. And you have put some perspective on for you guys. This doesn't happen in China because the Chinese government shuts everything down before it can happen. For example, if I call you and say, "Hey, let's go ride bikes," and then you call someone else and you call someone else, it will be only a matter of minutes before the Chinese government goes, "Oh, okay, wait a second. Let's stop this before it turns into something."
Yes.
The fact that this materialized and actually snowballed into this is wild. It shows that it can happen.
It can. By the way, when they reached Beijing, this is what they're greeted with.
Oh, of course.
Sky don't lie. Sky don't lie. Just saying.
Don't even
doesn't that look fantastic? What a destination. Anyway, you're right. Usually anything that's organized en masse gets shut down immediately.
Yeah.
And they can do it very quickly and very easily. The problem is it's very difficult to stop shared bikes. Like, you can stop people boarding trains and buses. You can stop that, right? You can stop people getting on planes.
Yeah.
But you can't stop people getting on a shared bike because they're everywhere.
Let's show them.
Yeah.
Keep playing it. I wanted to read some people are saying this just looks like a good time. It is.
It is.
Mostly just a good time.
We have to stress that this is a positive thing.
It's great.
Okay, for a couple of reasons. Now, I'm sure you'll see a lot of China's detractors will be like, "Oh, this is a new revolution. This is the end. This is whatever, the Communist Party's nightmare. They're going to..." It's not about that. It's about this frustrated youth. Take a look at this.
I mean, it is related to that, though.
Yeah, absolutely. There is that, but that's not what is happening.
No.
It's
not like the main motivation.
It can turn into that.
It can.
But the whole point is,
in a way.
I mean, we saw the guy, the freedom, like I'm effing cycling to you. But it really is that. China's youth, these college-aged kids, have been put through the ringer. They've been indoctrinated. They've been taught all of this nationalism, all this hatred, all this nonsense their entire lives. They've had to study so incredibly hard to get anywhere in life. And then the prospects for them aren't really very good.
Yes.
And, with the economy in a downturn like it is, they need an outlet.
So there's two things we're fighting here.
Yeah. Take a look at the amount of people. It's
I know,
crazy.
it's insane. Number one, there are people that are literally right now scrambling to run deflection pieces. In fact, I just saw a state media outlet just ran one.
Yeah.
A deflection piece. And then there's people working for the Chinese government that are saying, look at all these people banding together to reunify Taiwan.
Yeah,
they're
nonsense.
running all kinds of crazy
Sure.
stuff. Then the other thing I want to combat here is this idea that this is some sort of massive white paper protest type thing where they're trying to overthrow the government. I don't think either of those are true, but there is a lot of discontent that caused this. There's a cry out for help from these youth. And I have a quote here from a netizen.
Okay.
A netizen said, we are a forsaken generation. So this kind of college-age generation who endured indoctrination by the government and grueling exams only to enter a decaying society where earning a living is difficult.
Yes.
And that, I think, is the underpinning here.
Yeah.
It's not that, they're looking at certain leaders or certain whatever to overthrow or something, but there is a massive discontent in China right now with a massive youth unemployment, no prospects for jobs. In what better way to stop being cooped up and feel like trapped in this horrible authoritarian society than to everyone just get a bike? Everyone has access to one of these.
Everyone, get on a bike.
Get on a bike and just go get some freaking dumplings, because that's awesome.
It is. It's awesome.
It's so fun.
It's fun. It's youth. It's what you do.
I would have loved to have been in that.
Oh, yeah. I would have definitely, given the chance, I would have joined them.
In fact, it's not just students. People from all over China, adults came in to join the students.
Yeah.
And apparently the transportation was so booked up that people wanted to join the event, right?
Yeah.
I want to explain some supreme irony right now.
Sure.
This actually started as being promoted by the Chinese government. In fact, People's Daily, Chinese state mouthpiece, ran a thing about how, look at the exuberant youthful energy of everybody in China. And they show the flags, Chinese flags. Everyone's really nationalistic right now. And even in Kaifeng, they were super pumped. The authorities were like, we need to get traffic cops here to escort people. This is great. It's going to be good for business.
Yeah,
they
it's
open
great
early,
for tourism.
Stayed open late. It's great for tourism.
Yeah, look at that crazy amount of people, though.
But
Wow.
that was when it was in its infancy.
Yeah,
it
there was
wasn't
maybe a couple hundred people or something, and now it's
these kids riding bikes to go get some dumplings. They're like, yay, this is great. China's fun. And then it became this, and the government started spazzing.
Yeah, of course they would.
Because then you get the flags for freedom. Then you get the people having little interviews for blogs and stuff saying, hey, actually, I hate my life.
And then they start to have discourse.
Yes.
And I mean, imagine you've got so many people from all over now talking about the problems they face in their life. And suddenly, all of these issues that the government censors and doesn't allow to be discussed are being discussed freely. And that's something they really don't want to happen. Because they can't censor speech, real life, IRL speech. They can't be there and say whoa, you can't say that. I mean, if you try to talk about it online, you're screwed. But now in person, you can voice your discontent.
It's one of those things that quickly morphed into something else. And the Chinese government's absolutely terrified this will become another white paper protest like we saw during COVID lockdowns in Shanghai, where people were asking for the government to step down. They were asking for these things that make them so terrified, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to see that happen with this. The fact that this happened across the country as well, that's very wholesome.
Yeah.
But that is very scary. Imagine people mobilizing. If you could shut down one city, right? But if people are mobilizing in many cities in different areas around China, that's a completely different thing.
Yeah, that's right.
It's crazy for them.
Yeah, I know. So they've really, it's a big headache for the government at the moment.
It is.
But I see it as a very positive thing for the college students and for the youth in China because, there isn't enough of this kind of thing going around in China.
I'm going to read some of these things here.
Okay, go ahead.
People were complaining that why can we have marathons and other sporting events, but now you're blocking us off from doing this?
Yeah, because now they've actually stopped. They're actually actively stopping people from riding bicycles. And the traffic police are trying to stop anyone who tries to ride a bicycle in certain areas because, they don't want this to continue.
Yes.
They don't want this to snowball out of control. They've decided, that's it, enough. You had your fun. No more bicycles for you.
Yes, correct. Over here, I'm looking at this. High-level CCP orders have locked down universities now. They're very scared that another white paper protest is unfolding, and they don't want any spontaneous gatherings at all. It says, it isn't clear when the craze really took off, but by early this month, it was drawing hundreds of riders seemingly every night. So this had been like a rumbling, and that's when the People's Daily picked it up.
Yeah.
Like you said, it was hundreds of riders, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, this is fun. Like, oh, I'm surprised they even let a couple hundred riders
I know,
out,
it's
but,
crazy.
look at what happened here. This is basically a flash mob on bikes. But when you think of a flash mob, you're thinking, oh, maybe 1,000 people showed up in a square. Again, this is upwards of 1 million people.
I want to ask you this. Do
Mm-hmm.
you think that they're going to ban the xiaolongbao from social media?
So-
You can't search that.
So xiaolongbao are soup dumplings, which everyone is headed towards. I feel like it could end up being a protest symbol at some point.
Yeah.
Some sort of like cartoon version of a soup dumpling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some sort of way of expressing dissatisfaction with our life and the government and stuff like that. I think going to get xiaolongbao could end up meaning something.
Yeah. I think the search term, I mean,
think it'll
just the
get
name
banned.
will be banned. I think if you search like xiaolongbao, you won't get any results.
Yes. However, I,
feel
have
like-
a couple theories here.
Sure, sure.
I just want to read a couple more things.
Look at all these shared bikes that were left behind. Anyway, yeah.
The buzz around the nights drew Bin Li, a third-year engineering student at a university in Henan, who boarded a train to Zhengzhou on Thursday with nothing but his clothes he was wearing. His leap of faith paid off. Everything he needed, water, food, a bike, and even companionship, materialized along the route. At the starting point, he met another college student. They set out just before midnight, and the two strangers became impromptu riding partners for the 5-hour journey that followed. He said, it didn't feel that long, because I was talking with all these strangers we met along the way. When so many people came together to do something as one, there was a real sense of community. This is something that China doesn't have.
Yes.
This is why it's so important.
Yeah,
this is
it's
why
so
people are having
good.
so fun, so much fun.
It's fantastic. People forging relationships on the road, meeting people out there. And I think it's one of the coolest feel-good things I've seen in a very long time when
It's
it comes
great.
to China.
It's great, but it's also super telling because this kind of thing doesn't happen in a positive environment.
Yes.
It happened. It's born out of negativity. It's born out of the fact that people are absolutely frustrated,
Correct.
terrified for the future. The lie down flat movement, all these things are the let it rot movement. All these movements are happening because there's malcontent.
Correct.
Under the surface, just bubbling up right
Mm-hmm.
now. I did want to say something here.
Then say it. In all honesty, though,
Sorry, just checking our notes to get
yeah,
things
go
straight.
for it. In all honesty, this can be a massive headache for the government, and I'm going to.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. That's
Well,
what it was.
I'm incredibly curious to see how they deal with this going forward.
It says some people on the Chinese internet actively, and I was shocked at this, actively compared it to Tiananmen Square, which is not something you even talk about on the Chinese internet. The fact that was coming through is wild.
Yeah, yeah,
And the fact that many people were making those references is wild.
yeah.
Some netizens said this isn't just a trend. This is about people joining and uniting who are dissatisfied with society. I
Correct.
really think at the end of the day, as fun as this is, there is a lot of that underneath the surface here.
Absolutely.
This is not done, although they're shutting it down. I think this has the potential to morph into something else. I really do. It's the kind of thing you saw during Shanghai,
Yeah.
you know?
And it's something that is pretty much unprecedented.
Yeah.
We don't see this kind of thing happening in China. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on this, and we'll be updating you on Friday during the normal China show, which we will be having this Friday. If there's any updates, hopefully the government doesn't just sweep this under the rug like they do with everything.
I do want to make a prediction
What's
before
that?
we head out.
Yeah.
I think this is what the government's going to do. They're going to cherry pick the moments that they have sanitized. It's like, oh, just people having a good time. And they're going to wait until this is over, pretty much. And they're going to say, look at everyone coming together. China's so free. It's so fun. It's a great spontaneous society where everyone wants to get together and join together under the Chinese flag. And we are united as Chinese. We love dumplings.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
I
It's
mean,
going to be a positive spin.
That's a good prediction. At the end of the day, though, the reason this happened in the first place is because of all the discontent.
Yes. Yes.
Again, we will update you if anything happens on Friday, if anything further develops. And thank you for joining us for this special report.
Yeah.
For those of you who are going to be joining us for Xiabanhou, which is our Monday VIP show, which you can head over to patreon.com/ADV podcasts. We'll be seeing you
We'll
in
see
a
you there
couple
at 5
hours.
p.m.,
Yeah. 5 p.m.
Eastern
time. We'll be there. It's going to be a fun one. We'll see you all over there. And for the rest of you, thank you very much for tuning in. And we'll see you Friday. Have a good one. Stay awesome. And I'm not going to cut myself off. 5, 4,